All right, so we need to now figure out, after you found your job, we need to now figure out how much disposable income you will actually be receiving every month. And by disposable income, I mean the actual amount of money that you get to take home and spend out of in your paychecks. The amount of money that you actually get. Now, what you think, okay, well, that says that's my salary, that number, that median pay, but that median pay does not represent, excuse me, the amount of taxes and things that had been taken out. That median pay is before taxes. So in order to find our disposable income, we have to figure out roughly how much in taxes we take out and see what we're left with. So on the outline of our Dream Life project information outline, we're just going to click calculating disposable income, and then it'll bring it right to it. Okay, so our gross annual income, which is that median pay, okay, it's how much you're going to make in a year. That's what annual means, yearly. To in a year before taxes. And so for my example, I'm going to say that I make $34,000. Now here, I want you to place what that looks like in a year, okay? Now we can figure out what our gross monthly income simply by dividing the 34,000 by 12 months, because that's how many months are in a year. So it's going to be helpful to have your calculator up. So I'm going to do 34, oops, too many threes, 34,000 divided by 12, and that equals, now we're dealing with money, so let's make sure we put our big old dollar signs in there. And I'm just going to round this off. So it's $2,833.33. Okay, that's roughly how much a month I would take home if I was making 34. Well, that's how much I'd get in my paid monthly if my salary was $34,000. Okay, first step is we're going to talk about figuring out your federal income tax. So you can use either your gross monthly income or your gross annual income, right? You can use either this number or this number, okay, to start. So all this means is that you can take your gross monthly income or your gross annual income, either one, and multiply it by 2 or 20%, because our federal income tax is roughly 20%. Okay, so 2,833 and 33 cents times 0.2, and that gets me $566.67, because I'm rounding, because we only need 2 numbers behind the decimal, right? Now, in order to figure out what I pay yearly in taxes, all I have to do is take this number and multiply it by 12, right? Because there are 12 months in a year, and that's roughly going to get me about $6,800, or $6,799.99. Sorry, $6,799.99. Okay, so this is the amount I pay monthly in tax, in my federal income taxes. This is the amount I pay yearly in my federal income taxes. Okay, now the income after federal income tax, all you have to do is take our starting number and subtract it from this. So 2,833.33 minus 566.67 7, and I'm left with $2,266.66. Okay. Now, again, all you have to do is you can do this math out too. So 34,000 minus $6,799.99, and then I'm left with 27,201 penny. Okay. Now, that's how much I get to take home after my federal income tax. Now we need to figure out what our state income tax is. Now, roughly, and it changes and it flexes, but right now it's about 7%. Or when we're doing our multiplication, that's 0.07. Okay, and so we're going to take our gross monthly income, our original starting amount, right? And we are going to multiply that by 0.07. So, excuse me, $2,833.33 times 0.07. Now, I'm going to pay roughly about $198.33. So I'm going to just fill that in the box right here. 198.33. Then I'm going to just multiply that by 12. See what I'd pay yearly. 2,379. And well, actually it will be $380, because the 7 tells the 9 to round up, making it a whole new dollar, making this 80 instead of 79. So that's how I got to there, because of my rounding. Now we need to take this amount here, right? Now that we've taken our federal taxes out, we're a little bit closer to figuring out how much our disposable income is. Now we have to subtract our state taxes from this number. So I'm going to take these two numbers here, $2,266.66, and subtract it by $198.33, and I'm left with, I'm one step closer to finding my disposable income, but we're not quite there. Right now I'm left with $2,068.33. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to take this number, subtract this number, so 27,200. Oops, helps if I click on my calculator, right? So 27,201 minus 2,380. And that gets me 24,820 and 1 cent. Okay. One step closer to finding our disposable income. Now, our last step before we have finally discovered how much we actually take home every month is to take out Social Security. Now, Social Security is sort of like your retirement fund, but that's debatable at the time for right now. But on the bottom here, I have included more definitions about each one if you'd like for your reading, but right now we're focusing on the math. So To find our Social Security tax, which is 7.65% right now, we have to take our gross monthly income or our gross annual income and multiply it by 0.0765, which is the decimal form of 7.65%. For this particular case, I'm going to show you I'm going to start with my annual, right? So gross annual income is going to be $34,000. And then I'm going to multiply that by 0.0765. See what that equals? $2,601. So I'm going to put that in here. $2,601, right? Now, I could easily take this number and divide it by 12 to see what my monthly amount is for Social Security. So monthly, I'm going to pay $216.75. All right. Now, last bit of math for this particular page. So, last step, we are going to subtract our Social Security amount from the amount that's left after we've taken out our federal and our state taxes. Okay, so that means these numbers right here out of the whole page. We want the income after federal and state income tax. Okay, so in this particular case, I'm going to start with the $2,078.33 and subtract $216, right? Because that's both in my monthly column. So subtract $216.75, and I am left with $1,861.58. And then over here, I'll do my 24,820.01 minus 2,601 to be left with $22,219.01. Okay, so this amount here is my disposable income. So this is the amount that I actually get to take home and spend every month or in an entire year. So yes, 34,000 looks like I make a lot, but after taxes and Social Security, I'm really only bringing home $22,219.01, roughly. Obviously, if you have family and other things, changes your tax bracket and more complicated stuff. But for right now, this is what we're going to go by to start setting up our budget for our things like our housing, transportation, and other expenses. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But this is just a quick, brief overview on how to do the math to figure out your disposable income.